All right. I've never done this before, but I think what I'm going to try to do is show you how I do it. So hopefully you guys can figure it out. And I don't know. So basically, the already done bulk fermentation, and what we're doing now is we're going to shape the dough so that we can put it in their what we call couches, which is just a place for them to rest. So what I do is I've got this big hunk of dough. This is half of the dough, and what I do is I just pull it out like this and fold it in on itself. And this stretches the dough. I'm going to do the same thing over this way, where I'm going to take a corner. I'm going to just kind of do that in order to stretch it out. Flour really helps here, so be liberal with flour, but don't go too crazy, because otherwise the flour starts to cake up, and you can end up tasting it later in the dough, in the bread, which kind of sucks. So again, taking a corner, plopping it out, and this is the important step: is you want to use your dough knife or your hand to flip it over, because now you have this seam. We call this the seam end. We're going to pull the seam end to the table, and now this is the part that takes practice. You need to use the stickiness of the dough in order to get the skin on top really nice and tight. So basically you're going to scoop and use the other hand to help encourage the dough to start getting really nice and tight. And that just basically means a number of these sort of like these kind of movements. And you can see that I'm starting to get a really nice tight skin, and that's really critical for us keeping in all of the gas that's developed during bulk fermentation. Now the dough is going to be quite sticky, and it takes a lot of practice to get comfortable with working with such a sticky dough. But this is how you make great bread. A lot of bakeries still make bread with pretty like thick doughs that don't have nearly as much hydration. Part of making really great bread is having a really wet dough, and if you can master how to handle them, your bread will taste far, far better. So now I basically have a nice, neat round, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit of flour, I'm going to dust it, and I'm basically just going to keep it nice and happy there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to process this other guy while that guy is hanging out. So having a dough knife is huge. It's one of my favorite things in the kitchen, simply because, one, it's perfect for handling dough, and it's also great for scraping shit too. Like, it's really great for once you're all done, you can scrape this whole surface and get it super clean, way better than any paper towel or anything else. So here's this other dough. I'm going to go ahead and process this guy. Same deal as before. All right, on itself. I'm going to do the other two sides now. Okay, take a corner. You can see that there's a lot of gas sort of trapped in this dough. We want to keep that in there. All right, and then up like that. All right, and again, we're going to use the sort of surface tension of the dough to sort of develop that nice tight skin. All right, and the whole thing is to use the table. By pulling it towards you, you get the skin tighter and tighter, and that's critical here. I'm going to keep kind of doing these turns until it's really nice and tight, and then I'm going to kind of turn it a couple of times, make sure it's looking good. All right, and like before, I'm going to take some flour, give it a light dusting, smooth it over with my hands, and now it's protected until I'm ready to prepare those couches. I'm gonna show how I transfer them into the couche in just a second here. This is Max's baking masterclass, also known as Sourdough Heaven. Tune in next time for more baking tips, tricks, and deliciousness. Adios.